We are following the search for suspects in Ottawa, Canada, after multiple shootings around Parliament. One soldier has been killed. A suspected gunman has also been shot dead by police. More are thought to be involved, though. Shots have now been reported in 3 different locations all around the city. Let's turn to our panel now for their reaction here to discuss. James Freeman of the Wall Street Journal, Todd Schoenberger of Landcoat Capital, Rob Basso of Advantage Payroll Services. Thanks to all 3 of you for joining us. We are watching events unfold. The market is sinking further. I mean, we want to talk about this because this is a show called Money. We're focused on the markets. Right now, we're down about 120, about double where we were when this kicked off. Does this add to just the nervousness in the market? It
does add to the nervousness. It also may be the beginning of filling out a picture we've been tracking here where, again, we don't know who these people were or how many people there were. But we notice within the last week in Canada, soldiers being run down. They have now decided that was an act of Islamic terrorism. We saw a recent plot in the UK, targets aimed at military and police officers, radicals coming back from Syria. So this threat we've been warning about people being radicalized in the Middle East, in Syria, and then coming back here, this may be a manifestation of that.
And in fact, we're trying to get Catherine Herod. She's the chief intelligence correspondent for Fox News Channel, but she is talking about a counterterrorism source telling Fox News that there was a spike in ISIS-related chatter targeting Canada in the 5 days leading up to these incidents. Based on Canada's decision to join the coalition and a day of reckoning coming, no one has claimed responsibility for what's going on, so we don't know that. But still, it's worth exploring the option of considering it.
Well, our hearts go out to the family of the fallen soldier, plus the Canadian people. There's nothing to stop this type of thing from happening right here in the States. But what I don't think we should do is we should not rush to judgment to decide if this is a terrorist act. It certainly seems like an organized attack, and I can understand why it affects the U.S. markets and the markets abroad.
Yeah.
Well, what would it be then? I mean, of course it's a terrorist attack. So, and we just should cut right to that. Look, this really has...
No, we shouldn't cut right to that. Because
Melissa, you can call it whatever you want. I mean, it's a coordinated attack with multiple locations right on our doorstep. I mean, this is a signal, this is a sign to send to us that can happen here in New York, and that's why traders are scared to death right now. I mean, you're going to see this market further collapse as the details unravel this afternoon.
You agree with that?
There is a lot we don't know, but remember, the Canadian police and intelligence services disrupted in 2006 a plot that included among its targets the Parliament in Ottawa. So I think it's reasonable to conclude this may be part of a larger
I think it's
effort.
reasonable to think that, of course, we always want to wait for the evidence before we decide something like that. Canadian Prime Minister was in a caucus meeting in Parliament. He has now been removed from the location. But, certainly Ottawa in lockdown, a lot of panic.
They're doing what's prudent. They're doing exactly what we would do in the States or any other nation that's potentially on attack.
Okay. I want to bring in former New York City Police Detective Thomas Ruskin. He joins us now on the phone. He is an expert in urban crisis management. Give me your take on this so far.
Well, first, I don't think we can assume it's a terrorist attack until law enforcement and officials figure out who this guy was and what ties he has. We are also not sure from anything that we've heard that there are definitively multiple sites of attack other than the Parliament building where the ultimate gun battle happened and where the soldier was killed at the War Memorial. Anything else could be just bad rumor and police responding based on the ricocheting of what they hear as shots. So I think it's a little premature until we know who this individual is, until he's positively identified, to determine what happened.
Now, that said, what is your take and what do you think happened?
Well, I mean, we definitely know that someone attacked a soldier only because he's in uniform at the War Memorial, killing that soldier, and then decided to walk the 200 yards into the Parliament. He made his way into some portion of the Parliament building where the gun battle happened, and from what I understand, he was killed.
Yeah. Colonel Ralph Peters made a comment in the last hour reacting to this breaking news, saying that Canadians are less prepared for this sort of incident, that they don't expect it as much as, say, New York City expects something like this to come to their doorstep. Is that your experience? Would you agree with that?
I would agree with the Colonel.
Really?
relative to that. I think that each country that hasn't had this happen on their shores isn't up to speed as of yet. And Canada, listen, is a very peaceful nation as a whole, as London was before it was attacked in August of a couple of years ago when the bombings on the transportation system happened in August. You know, it takes a while for a country to understand that they are a potential target, and I think that Canada's coming up to speed by raising their rating or their security rating from low to medium just the other day.
Yeah. Well, given that, then does it make us fear more that this would be a good entry point into the U.S. for terrorists, for militants that are trying to come here if Canada is inherently less prepared?
Well, we have known on our borders and our Border Patrol and our FBI and our Joint Terrorist Task Force and police departments around this country that this country is definitively a target. New York City knows that they're in the crosshairs of a potential terrorist target or a lone bomber, as we saw with Faisal Shahzad in May of 2-3 years ago. So we're prepared for it, and we are watching people coming into our country. We don't know as of yet, and it would be, you know, stupid for us to now guess that this guy wasn't a Canadian citizen. It could have been a homegrown terrorist situation or a homegrown nut who walked in and shot people up.
Yeah. No, and we know now that the FBI is assisting with what is going on. I also want to tell our viewers that we are waiting for a press conference from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police that is going to be coming up shortly. So we are waiting on that. But in the meantime, looking at this further, does it change in your mind, Tom, what should be done in New York right now? I mean, do you think that we were already on the highest alert, or does this put folks in cities all over the country at a higher alert?
At 10:03 this morning, I got an alert from the New York City Police Department alerting me of the attack in Ottawa, Canada, and I know that Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Bratton and the powers to be in New York City heightened our awareness of what happened there and took proper precautions, probably at the Canadian mission, our mission, and other places around the city of sensitivity, and probably the British mission as well.
Yeah. Let me turn back to the panel for a second. Market's down less than 100 now. I mean, it isn't the type of panic that you would think. Are we maybe getting more used to this?
It's possible. They may be following your advice and saying, let's get all the...
Let's not panic. Let's get the facts first.
Let's get the facts in before we connect the dots. I don't think this should be a surprise, given that they have been a stalwart ally, the Canadians, and also allied with a lot of our friends in the Middle East, so it's reasonable to think they might be a target as well. But I think yes, we are in an age where this is not that shocking, sadly. And you think of the horrible images we've been seeing from the Middle East. There probably is a certain desensitizing.
And it's not an age that's going to go away anytime soon. I mean, we are in this battle with ISIS for a while. I mean, there isn't an end in sight, and so it makes you feel like any sort of retaliation is going to continue as long as we are physically in this battle right now.
Well, our enemy.
Go ahead.
Our enemies have the long view. They're looking at this, as you just said, generationally. They're not looking at this as an event that's going to take place. This is their way of life, to potentially attack the way that we live. So I think it's going to continue to affect markets, but I don't think it's going to move the markets as much as we think it would, simply for the fact that we're used to this. This is not the first time it's happened to us, and you disagree.
Yeah, because you're saying that. Look, it's great. You're talking about the threat, and here we had this threat. ISIS has been threatening the homeland for how many months now? We've been seeing it over and over again, and that's the headline news story. And until something happens, when the action actually takes place, that's when people start getting scared. This is right there next door. This is a signal. This is a sign to us right now. You're going to see a lot of selling between 3:30 and 4 once those mutual fund orders come in.
Let's pause for a moment. We have more on the shooting throughout the show. Also on our radar, first it was medical supplies and food. Now it's weapons. How ISIS terrorists got their hands on deadly ammunition dropped by the U.S. More money, some answers coming up. All right, we want to let you know that we are waiting for a press conference from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They are supposed to come out and talk about these shootings in Ottawa. We were expecting them at about 2 o'clock. So we're waiting to see what happens here. And as soon as they come out to give us more details, we are going to go to that. In the meantime, we want to go back to the breaking news that is unfolding itself in Ottawa. Police are searching for numerous suspects following multiple shootings around Parliament this morning. One soldier is wounded. One of the suspected gunmen is dead. There is a soldier who is dead as well. Let's go to Peter Barnes in Washington, who has the latest. Peter.
Well, hey, Melissa, national security officials across the U.S. government have been briefed on the Ottawa shooting and are monitoring the situation and talking to their counterparts in Canada, according to the Obama administration. The White House says that the president himself has been briefed on the shootings there and has spoken to Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper. But the White House is not calling this incident terrorism at this point.
I'm not in a position to render judgment on that at this point. Obviously, Canadian authorities are still responding to this situation, and I'm confident they will conduct an investigation in which they will consider a range of questions, not unlike the question you just asked.
Now, an official at the Department of Homeland Security is not talking specifically about raising the threat level here in the U.S. because of this incident, but says, quote, our security posture, which always includes a number of measures both seen and unseen, will continue to adapt appropriately to protect the American people. Melissa?
All right, Peter, thank you so much for that report. Not raising the threat level yet. I mean, I guess we're just waiting for it to happen. Or is that relevant any longer? I mean, do people pay attention to what the actual threat level is?
Yeah, it could be relevant. I mean, whether it's a question of not acting quickly or whether they've actually learned some things from the Canadians to suggest maybe this isn't terrorism.
Okay.
You know, it's hard. We're speculating at this point. So I think we'll know in a day or two whether they were just slow to respond or what actually happened here. But I think it is important to note again that they have had what the Canadians believe is a terrorist incident of a similar nature within the last week there with the hit-and-run attack
and
on
they have
a soldier.
said that they do believe that that was.
They do.
Yeah.
Now, as for this one, I don't think they've said. I guess maybe they're about to tell us momentarily. But a lot of reasons to think maybe this could be that problem we've been warning about with radicals coming back from.
And no doubt we're going to be getting more information when we go live to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in their live press conference. Is that this? Let's listen in.